Hello, my name is Tim Burden. What was my first taste of voiceover work? Well, in 1994, I did some local car ads as a student. And then in the early 2000s, I was a guest movie reviewer on Cool FM, which is one of Northern Ireland's biggest radio stations. I was on with the fabulous Paul Kennedy. It was his show. And we talked about all sorts of movies and all sorts of cartoons as well. I remember that. But it wasn't really until 2006 that I started to focus on my voice and really tried to better myself as such and launch into the industry. And I attended as many workshops on radio and on voiceovers, read lots of books, and above all, I just recorded myself and played it back and then practiced as much as possible until I was happy with how I was sounding and with my reads. Because essentially, you know yourself, we're our own worst critics. So doing that, it really helped. And then I managed to get a job with a radio station, the Northern Media Group, and they gave me quite a few shows and different sort of shows, and that really helped me develop a kind of presentational style and also a conversational style, which crosses over quite well to a lot of reads which clients like. What has been my favourite voiceover job to date and why? Well, I think voicing the in-house training program for the RNLI was a real thrill. I mean, I also learned about the rigorous training regime they have to go through for saving lives at sea, and it was actually quite eye-opening. Obviously, it's important to know what you're talking about whenever you're doing these kind of gigs. Even if you're voicing somebody else's words, you want to sound like you have conviction, and you don't want to be just bluffing it too much. A lot of people in the voiceover field would certainly say, bluffing is what we do as a living. And yeah, true, we have to bluff now and again. But certainly for something that's as important as a training program for the RNLI, I had to be really well educated on that. So my head was full of aquatic and marine-themed big words that weekend. If I had to pick one style which I feel represents me, what would it be? Well, I think relaxed, friendly, and conversational styled reads are often what I would do quite well. Many clients like this approach. The hard sell, radio styled voice is becoming a little old hat and cliched these days. But having said that, if someone asks me to be big and dramatic and powerful, then of course I can do that as well. No problem. So have I been involved in anything interesting lately? Well, yes, I voiced the teaser trailer for the Oscar-winning filmmaker Paul Schrader's forthcoming movie, which stars Lindsay Lohan. Now, Paul Schrader's the guy who's he wrote the screenplay for Taxi Driver and also Scorsese's Goodfellas. Quite a thrill, actually, to do this. But The Canyons is the name of the film, The Canyons. And the teaser trailer I voiced, it was fun because it was a tongue-in-cheek throwback to melodramatic trailers of the 1940s, like Hollywood style, quite scratchy, quite big and bold, and go see the film now. So it was edited quite badly, but it was supposed to be. It was a pastiche. I'm not sure about the film, though. It looks a bit ropey. That's between you and I. But no, I'm also involved in many film music events this year, which is really thrilling, including my hosting of an evening with George Fenton on the 17th of April. Now, film music is a real passion of mine, and I'm an expert in this very clever and precise craft. So being able to share my enthusiasm with an audience as part of the Ballymena 2013 Arts Festival is quite a treat, and I really hope everybody enjoys what George Fenton has to say. He's an utterly charming man and a real masterful composer. You'll know his music from like BBC's Planet Earth, Frozen Earth, Blue Planet, Memphis Belle and Richard Attenborough's Gandhi and Shadowlands, beautiful music. Even the classic TV show Bergerac. Do you remember Bergerac with Jim Nettles? Yeah, well, he wrote the music for that too. Advice for aspiring voiceovers. Well, it's not as easy as you think, and don't believe all of the stories about getting rich quick. Only the very few and fortunate voice artists get the big movie trailers or TV buyout gigs, with multinational brands. That's where the big money is, yeah. And also video games as well, of course. It can be very profitable. And it can be really tough. It's incredibly competitive out there in the voiceover world. And there is a misconception that it's an easy life working from your home studio But no, not necessarily. It requires self-discipline, perseverance, patience, but above all, passion. I think primarily absorb as much information as possible, critique yourself, and then listen to what's around you. Always listen. Well, I would like you to know that I host many radio shows and produce interviews for film, some local and others globally, so a lot of this audio fun can be found on my website at timburden.com, which is, of course, linked from my Piehole profile, where there's lots of other things you can have a look and listen to as well. Great to talk with you. Thank you.